Why does Wade Wilson have so many female fans? What's going on, everyone? You're watching Sight Sounds Flavors on YouTube, sightsoundsflavors.com. If at any point in time you like the video, smash that like button. Also, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, and leave a comment down below. I got to tell you something. Wade Wilson is a monster. I'm happy he was sentenced to death. I'm happy he didn't get life in prison. Life in prison would have been a constant reminder to the victims, to the families, to everyone. And they're all victims. They're all victims. You know, the parents, the siblings, the former significant others, the friends, the coworkers of the two women that were murdered, that were strangled by Wade Wilson, they are victims. And they would have had to see this guy give interviews and have books written about him and watch documentaries and just constantly relive this whole thing. We've seen on TikTok, you know, the folks commenting and sharing the calls from prison as Wade Wilson basically hustles endless women to put money on the books so he can buy summer sausage or ramen noodles or whatever it is, coffee, whatever he can get his hands on. Or just to talk to him on the phone on their dime, of course, to basically inflate his own ego. I mean, we've seen this. And these women, they run the gamut. I mean, you've got, you know, women, you know, maybe 18, 19, 20 years old. You've got women in their 30s and 40s. You may have women that are older than that. And I don't want to make it just a woman thing, but, you know, there may be male fans also, but the lion's share are women. And you see it on TikTok and you see it on Instagram. I saw it during the live chat during the Spencer hearing. People were saying, well, we hope that there's a miracle for him, that he can turn his life around. We hope that he gets life. He doesn't deserve the death penalty. And then, well, you know, the real kicker is I read a lot of people say that he was innocent. I mean, how can you say he's innocent? He was convicted. He was convicted by a jury of his peers. He had a more than fair hearing. He had competent legal counsel. And you know, I think that, I don't know if it's the attention, I don't know if it's the tattoos, and that's the other thing. This guy was stoic. I think that's an excellent adjective. Stoic the whole time. You know, I looked at him and it was like I wasn't even looking at a person. You know, the arrogance and the lack of any type of remorse. The emotionless kind of face. Sometimes I thought he was smiling, but he has a stupid tattoo that makes it look like he's smiling. But I do think he was glib at times. And, you know, covering trials like the Gerald Brooks Jr. trial, like the Alec Murdaugh trial, even Suitcase Sarah, people like that. This guy, you know, again, I think that if we didn't live in a day and age where we have such technology, or if, you know, just basically, I don't even know if technology had anything to do with it, but even if, what I'm trying to say is, if he had not been apprehended as quickly as he was, and maybe this is also a product of him, you know, not being, you know, elusive enough, he would have killed more. There's just no question about it. I mean, the time in between the two murders wasn't that much. I mean, I think it was like within the same days or weeks, and he would have killed many, many more. And what makes me wonder as well is, did he just wake up one day and he did this, or are there others? I mean, we look at, you know, the Ted Bundys, and we look at the John Wayne Gacy's and the Richard Ramirez types. We look at Danny Rawling. Danny Rawling was convicted of 5 murders in Gainesville, Florida, but I believe he was later convicted, but for years they couldn't connect the pieces of 2 murders in Shreveport, Louisiana that he was responsible for. So, you know, I don't know if Wade Wilson is responsible for more murders, more victimizations of people, but I just can't imagine. I mean, his rap sheet is very, very extensive. And so I don't know what it is, and maybe you can leave a comment, you know, to fill in the blanks for me, but I don't know that it's that people actually think that he's innocent. I mean, look at Charles Manson. Charles Manson had groupies. I mean, really, that's what they are. You know, look at Sandra London with Danny Rawling. I mean, she was a groupie to me. I mean, you know, she She was writing books about him. She had a very successful career in writing business manuals and computer manuals, and she gave all that up. She gave all that up, and she just went to work full time, you know, covering Danny Rawling and going on talk shows. And even though, you know, she got hit with the Son of Sam laws and she was hard pressed to make money off of it, she just kept doing it. So it really wasn't about the money entirely, maybe at first, but really she was just enamored by a guy who murdered college students, a drifter that lived in a tent, a person that was just, you know, devoid of any kind of moral compass. So it's just, but then again, she had also dated another serial killer when she was a teenager, and she was fascinated by him, and also tried to later in life you know, she kind of like hung around him, and then, you know, Danny Rawling was a new serial killer on the block, so she went over to him. I mean, that's a groupie, you know, that's a groupie. And so I'm just wondering, you know, people say that Wade Wilson's getting thousands of letters, and you know, it's scary. It really is. And some of the people that are supporting him emotionally, financially, some of these girls, I mean, they're girls. Some of them are like as young as 19 or 20 years old. I've gone on their TikTok pages, and they seem like they're really off. You know, like, you know, pictures of corpses, pictures of weird animal stuff, you know, weird music, you know, the corpse paint on the face, the, you know, the gothic, you know, kind of attire, you know, a lot of different things going on. And it just makes you think, I mean, you know, what kind of power does this guy have over them? I mean, he may be locked up, he may be, you know, an afterthought, but they're not. They're very much out there. And, you know, the other thing is the death penalty. If it happened tomorrow, that would be great, but it won't. He's going to appeal, and then he's going to try to get clemency, and then he's going to try to, you know. So even though he got the death penalty, he may still be around for at least another 10 or 20 years with interviews, with documentaries, hustling women for commissary money, you know what I mean? And all the while living it up, because when you're in death row, you're isolated from general population. Because I've also heard from, or not heard, but I've seen different YouTube channels and commentaries saying that there's a gang or two out there that are looking for him. So if he ever went GP, you know, his days would be numbered. But you know, in death row, you know, he's going to have, you know, look at Stephen Lorenzo. You know, Stephen Lorenzo, I forget what state he was in. He might have been Florida or the Carolinas or somewhere, but he asked the judge for the death penalty because he said, you know, he's older now and he's used to a certain kind of life, and he wants to be single-celled, and he wants his television. And I mean, you know, death row inmates, I mean, if you've seen the documentaries, they live pretty well. And sometimes, you know, the state will get rid of the death penalty. Sometimes they'll die from something else. Case in point, the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez. He died from hepatitis. He had never died at the hands of the state. So this guy is without a doubt a monster. This guy is without a doubt someone that has no spine. He has no conscience. And people by the thousands, women especially, by the thousands, are sending him fan mail and putting money on his books and professing his innocence and wishing him the best and hoping for a miracle. And it's just, it isn't anything new. And we'll see it with future serial killers and murderers and monsters, but it just never stops being unsettling. Like, it is very, very unsettling. Very unsettling.